There's a strange moment that happens long before retirement. It's not when you hand your notice in, it's not when the numbers finally add up. It's much quieter and earlier than that. It's the moment work stops feeling like the main thing in your life, but you still have to show up. That's the part that I'm struggling with because on the surface, nothing's changed. Same job, same responsibilities, and the same expectations. But internally, something's shifted. I still care about doing a good job, and I still really need the income, and I still can't afford to walk away. But work no longer feels like the centre of my identity, and pretending that it is takes more energy than the work itself. And that's the tension I want to talk about. Because I don't think this is rare. I think a lot of people reach this point quietly and then assume something is wrong with them. What actually happens is that at some point you start thinking in longer time frames. You stop thinking in weeks and months, and you start thinking more in years. You start asking questions like, how long can I keep doing this without it costing me something else? What am I protecting by staying? And what would I lose if I left too early? And suddenly work becomes a means rather than the meaning. The problem is the workplace doesn't change its expectations just because your perspective has. You're still expected to care in the same way, to react in the same way, to carry that same emotional load. And that's where the friction comes from. For me, the hardest part isn't the work itself. It's acting as though it still defines me when I know it doesn't. Because once that shift happens, you can't undo it. You realise that the job is supporting your life, not representing it, and it's funding future freedom, not providing present fulfillment. And that's not a failure as such, it's actually a sign that your priorities have matured. But living in the in between space is uncomfortable. You've not checked out, and you're not free either. You're still responsible, still dependable, still needed. But emotionally, you have stepped back, and that creates guilt. Guilt for not caring as deeply as you once did. Guilt for wanting something different while still being paid. Guilt for counting time instead of climbing the ladders. And yet, the alternative is pretending you don't feel this at all. And that's worse. What I'm learning is that this phase isn't about motivation, it's more about containment. You're learning how to hold work at the right distance, not resenting it, not romanticizing escape, just recognizing what it is now. It's a tool, a bridge, a means to an end. When you reach this point, the goal isn't to force yourself to care more. It's to stop demanding that work give you something it no longer can. Purpose has moved elsewhere. Meaning has shifted. Your identity is already expanding way beyond your job. And that doesn't mean you're done. It just means you're transitioning quietly, internally, without ceremony. If you're still working but something feels different, this could be why. Now, you haven't failed, you haven't given up, you've just moved on mentally before you're able to move on physically. And learning how to live inside that gap is all part of the journey.